Good morning and welcome to day 36. Now, as you can see, I'm back on a levee bank, an old familiar situation from other rivers and other places, and I'm going to be on this for most of the day, although it won't all be paved like this one is. But what I wanted to show you here is over on the left here is the Great Hungarian Plain. This is the limit here, the Danube, of where the Mongols got when they came in to conquer Europe. And in fact, they stopped here not because they had to in terms of military defeats or anything, although they were a long way from home. It's just that Genghis Khan died, and the people leading the Mongols in the field all had to go back to Mongolia and China to sort out the succession and agree it. And afterwards they seem to have lost their appetite for conquest. They'd probably overextended themselves anyway, and conquering Europe would have been a much different challenge than it had been so far in the conquests of the mostly empty spaces of Asia and parts of the Middle East, Persia and Afghanistan, etc., that they had conquered up to this point. So this is as far as they got. But that is the Great Hungarian Plain, which has a rich history in itself, with the Magyars and others coming into this area during the Great Migrations. Anyway, lovely early morning. In fact, the moon's still up. Still up over there, so we can't see it, but the Danube is actually over there on the right. It's behind these trees, and actually the next ones as well. If we see it later on, I'll show you. So this part of Hungary has got a much more Eastern European feel to it, in the village itself, in the architecture, people, and this sort of thing. I think this will change again when I get into Croatia tomorrow, but certainly there's a East European feel at the moment. So, the first sighting today of the Danube, and I suspect I'll see quite a lot more of it, because actually I'm on the levee bank now again, having been off it for about 20 kilometers, and as you can see the surface has changed, but actually it's pretty good. The first stretch of about 4 or 5 kilometers was like riding in tram lines, but this is much easier. So there's the river, and there's a cruise boat, in fact 2 cruise boats, small ones, moored up here. And I think there's a ferry crossing here as well, and there's lots of them all the way down this river. And at the end of my ride today, to get to my accommodation, I shall actually be going across the river, so you'll see that. So I've got about 50 kilometers of this down to the city of Baja, or Baja as it's phonetically pronounced, and every 100 meters they've got a little milestone, so I can count off the miles without referring to my GPS. Talking of which, as far as navigation is being concerned, I haven't used maps at all. I've just used GPS on my iPhone, and I don't know what's happened, but I can't charge it up any longer. It got quite wet in the rain a few days ago. The phone itself didn't get wet because it was in a waterproof bag, but the electrical connection to it in the waterproof bag, I think, let some water into the port where the power supply comes in, and started to play up, and I thought that the problem had gone away because I had about a week or so of no problems at all, and then suddenly yesterday couldn't charge it up by any of my means, either the dynamo on the bike, my battery supply, or indeed when I got to accommodation last night I couldn't power it up from the wall either. So I'm now having to look at maybe replacing it, but as you would expect, I'm not relying entirely on the GPS on my iPhone, and I do have a backup system on my iPad, and that's what I'm using today. And funnily enough, because the iPad screen is so much bigger, actually I'm finding it quite useful, and in some ways better than the iPhone. So when I get to Belgrade in a couple of days' time, I'm going to be looking at seeing whether I can get a system, a waterproof system, for mounting the iPad on my handlebars. Now, I know Ortlieb do a very good one, combining it with a saddlebag, a handlebar bag, almost identical to this one. So I did some research last night, but sadly I don't think there's an Ortlieb retailer in Belgrade, which surprises me, but I'll visit a couple of the bike shops and find out. Anyway, on. Well, I'm in Barja, and this is an island we're looking at over there, and a little part of the Danube stretching over here. So I've just sort of stopped for a second breakfast in this sort of little line of restaurants and cafes through here, and then I'll be continuing along the trail which goes up there. And there's my bike. I just need to go and settle up, and I think I'm going to put some suntan lotion on. It's starting to get warm. So this is the ferry at Mohacs, and I'm the only touring cyclist actually on the ferry. I only saw two couples today, both shading from the, or hiding from the sun in the shade off the levee bank, and I have to say that the scenery didn't change virtually all day. The Great Hungarian Plain on my left and the riparian ecosystem on my right, all the way down. But anyway, the water's cool. I'm just coming into Mohacs, which is where I'm going to be spending the night, on the southern side. Still in Hungary. Well, I've done well with accommodation again for the princely sum of €33. Got a lovely apartment here in Mohacs, a little outdoor eating area. Just mention my bike. Today, when I stopped for one of my breaks, I inspected the tyres and I found a little stone embedded in my front tyre, and I took it out. It made quite a deep gash. When I got here, I noticed the guy working out of a workshop, and he came over and we discussed it, and he's put some silicone in it, which is very nice of him. Then he washed my bike for me with a power hose, so it's all nice and shiny new again. What a nice man. Anyway, show you inside. It's a lovely place, very clean. I'm not sure, I don't think I'm the first person in, but I must be pretty close to the first person in here. Still smells very new, and there are one or two things that haven't been quite finished off yet, like that little bit of waterworks down there for the underfloor heating and things. But I'm not complaining. It's a lovely place, very nice and clean, very neat, very well appointed. That's the kitchen area, the dining area, the bedrooms in here, which is very nice, complete with TV. Again, won't be used, but there we are. Also another pull-out bed, just in case there's two couples or a third person. And then the bathroom is ginormous. My washing's finished, so that's good. I'm going to hang that out in a moment. And it's got a bidet. Look at that, girls. Wouldn't you love one of those? So there we go. Very nice.